Hi people and hello my chili con carne screws, Chili here, the man who projects iron from his eyes, and I'm here for a 5-minute review on Steve Hackett's newest album, The Circus And The Nightwhale. When it comes to prog rock circles, the name Steve Hackett certainly holds court. When you spend your formative years in one of prog rock's biggest groups, then any solo release made after your departure from the band is going to be met with widespread acclaim and recognition. Or at least one would think so. When Steve Hackett released his 28th solo record last week, I barely heard a peep from the music news. This might have to do with the fact that this is his 28th record, or perhaps it's because it's a concept album. Or maybe it's because his tenure with Genesis was only for a couple of years and during their prog-heavy times before they struck it big when Phil Collins entered the pop era. Or maybe it has to do with what I mentioned before being a prog rock's inner circles. A small group of die-hard fans filled with musical intellectuals far more smarter and intrinsic than I, a dirty casual fan, ever will be. Whatever the reason may be, the end result is as follows. If you haven't heard this album, then you really are missing out. Now, I'll admit that the artwork for this record didn't particularly strike me as impressive, but then again, most of his artwork has been in similar vein. I mean, if I'm seeing a whale on an album cover, I'm expecting it to be either Gojira or Mastodon, and we know the difference in sound between these bands could fill an ocean. That said, I came into this album with small expectations, and after playing through the record, I found myself enjoying it immensely to the extent it put me out of my ass. Within the first few tracks, I was hooked, pun intended, and the chaos of songs like the opener, People of the Smoke, meet their yang with the following short instrumental piece, These Passing Clouds. While my OCD usually doesn't cope well with these kind of breakups between short and longer pieces, I would make an exception here as each track does contain something a little different and warrants their own place on the record. However, in the meantime, each track interlaces so well together that it never feels disjointed or left me to listener fatigue, except on maybe one of their sludgy and slow paced tracks taking you down. Also, is that Ian Anderson on the track Enter the Ring? Because it certainly sounds like his style of flute playing on record. If I had to say one negative thing about this album, it might be the aforementioned shorter tracks that are interspread between these songs, and they can cause a bit of break from immersiveness on the record, and at other times it can feel like it's drawing out the runtime of an otherwise very short album. But I don't feel like it's a huge takeaway, as Steve Hackett's amazing soundscape really breaks through on the same songs, giving room to breathe between these tracks on a sometimes chaotic sounding record. And Steve Hackett's prowess as a songwriter really shines through on this clear and concise album. At points, you can go from utterly crazy and fast-paced guitar work to mesmerizing and drawn-out notes that seem to hang in the air. By the time we get to the middle of the album with Circus Inferno, we are shown that Steve Hackett's versatility with licks that could appear on a Joe Satriani album with equal parts power and speed. It makes me wonder, if this is his 28th album, what else have I overlooked in his career? It's hard not to be hypnotized by the efforts on display as the styles fall into bordering jazz from hell territory. What more can I say other than it's been a hell of a ride. Overall, I would give this album a score of 7.5 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being Into the Nightwhale, Circus Inferno, and Enter the Ring. This album has a target, and that is for sure. It's fans of Steve Hackett or prog rock in general. And if you fall into one of these two categories, then you cannot pass this record up, as it's an effort that has the usual complexities of the scene without the unnecessary runtime. In essence, it's a solid album wrapped up into a tight little package. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.